Welcome back for another video. What are the top all-time managers up to this week? There's a lot of chips active, a lot of transfers made already, so let's break it all down. I'll be giving away FPL.page and FPL Focal app premium memberships completely free for everyone in this video as well, so stay tuned. A new name has snatched a top spot in the Experts League. The Football Chatter finished on 88 points last game week, which took him up to 52k overall. The average global score in FPL was 46 last game week. Well played if you managed to beat the average expert score, which was 70 points, 24 above the average. This week, 58% are planning to roll over to the international break, which is never a bad thing, just in case there's any unwanted surprises over the break, like an injury. 26% making one transfer, 7% making two. 9% have activated either the wildcard or the free hit this week. We'll take a look at that in a minute. But first of all, who are the players they're buying and who are they selling? This week, your number one experts transfer is Gabriel. I think goal or no goal last game week, he would have been right up there. But the next 6 game weeks collectively are just ridiculously good. No one's got a better run than Arsenal, and no one's got a better defence than Arsenal in general. I mean, no one's got more goal threat off set pieces than Gabriel either, in fact. Since making his debut in the league, he's scored 18 goals, which is 6 more than any other defender. Trent, Van Dijk and Schär all tied in second place with 12 each. Lots of Arsenal investment, unsurprisingly. Saka's the number 2 transfer, with 11% of the top all-timers buying him. Timber, Gyökeres and Raya 5% each as well. Absolutely brilliant assist from Gyökeres in the Champions League Wednesday night, showing unbelievable strength as 2 defenders practically bounced off him before he got his shot off, which fell to Martinelli after, who put Arsenal ahead. Timber's certainly going under the radar though, he's definitely first choice right now. White started in that Champions League game again, and he came off early as well, so potentially doesn't even have the fitness to be playing 90 right now. I mean, no one can say for sure, but it's not out of the question for Timber to carry on starting every league game. And in my eyes, if he does, he's the best Arsenal defender. He's 0.4 mil cheaper than Gabriel as well, but there is always that risk for minutes. The bigger concern is the December schedule, but obviously we're away off that still. That's when there's non-stop games, weekend, midweek, weekend, all the way through the month. I think we got like 6 game weeks in December. There were some murmurs of a Gabriel injury in that Champions League game. I was watching the game myself and he went up for a header, which Raya collected instead, and Raya basically landed on him on the way down. He got treatment for a brief period, but he looked alright, he came off. There was no signs of injury shown as far as I could see on the bench. I think Arteta was just getting him off, given Mascara's obviously really good backup on the bench, more than good enough for them to see the game out, which they did. Gakpo is the most sold then, 10% selling him, followed by Williams, Porro and Murillo. It's time to hop off your Forest defenders if you've got any. Their great fixtures are gone now, and defensively they're a completely different side now in fairness. A couple are selling Livramento, who's the only player in the league to have scored 4 or more points in every single game, but he's out for 6 to 8 weeks sadly after an injury against Arsenal. A couple are selling Watkins as well, who did of course score last match, and he does have Burnley home as well, but if you're on a wildcard, do you really keep him? João Pedro wasn't called up for Brazil over the international break, which is an interesting one, citing a minor injury. However, literally just the day before that announcement, he did come off the bench in the Champions League, and you'd still fancy him to start against Liverpool unless something else has happened between that Champions League cameo and the next morning. They're not crucial games for Brazil over the break, so Chelsea and Ancelotti might have come to some kind of agreement in this case. 7% are buying Sarr. 2 games missed of injury of course, he started 4 games and he scored in 3 of those 4. I was playing around with presets on the Focal app just now and I noticed that he's actually the best for minutes per XGI of all nailed midfielders in the entire league. Esteval's 0.81 XGI per 90 is the only player better than Sarr's 0.77 per 90, but we can't call him nailed currently. I've not done this before and I mentioned it at the start of the video, but if you're thinking of signing up to the Focal app, I've made a coupon code that will give you an entire month completely free to decide if you actually like it. To redeem, it's just fpl.page/redeem/experts. That unlocks all the premium features on the widgets. You can add or remove or even rearrange the widget layout. You can change the theme, hide ads and loads more. And that unlocks on both PC and mobile use. So basically a free month takes you all the way to Gameweek 10. So you get all that for free with the URL fpl.page/redeem/experts. I'll put it in the description. Trusted by over 290,000 users now. And feel free to cancel if you don't think it's worth it after either. So let's take a look at the chips next, and there's a lot going on. We've got 3 of the 4 chips active, 7% of wildcarded, 2% of free hit, and 10% of bench boosting. A trap that I'm trying not to fall into is trying to have the perfect bench set up. It just won't happen in all likelihood. Something's got to give, and it's not that powerful chip compared to the wildcard or the free hit, and the same applies to the triple captain. It's kind of overrated. Like, generally use the chip on a player that everyone else has captained anyway, so you just get 1 extra chunk of their points. Lewis's wildcard is active and he's on a run of 3 top 10k finishes in a row, hunting a 4th, and his team on the wildcard is Verbruggen, Dubravka, Van Dijk, Juve, Anderson, Gabriel, Alderete, Saka, Bruno, Reinders, Stack, Mitoma, Haaland, Strand Larsen and Gyökeres. Finally hitting the wildcard after a poor start, around 6.9 million but only 70 points from 1 million, so plenty of weeks left to claw that back. Starting with the keepers, I've gone for Verbruggen and Dubravka. I've gone against the popular Raya as I've gone double Arsenal attack, but I like Verbruggen's long-term fixtures, with even the view of benching him in Gameweek 16 and 18 when Dubravka's got home fixtures. This might seem too far in advance to plan, however it's a position, barring injury, I'm unlikely to make a transfer. And I'll be keeping an eye on Alisson News, and I might bring in their backup, however I'd need him to be out for months. Defence have opted for Liverpool and Arsenal coverage as they're the best 2 teams in the league. Gabriel speaks for himself and Virgil's still yet to blank of accounting defensive contributions. Juve is a fun pick, as fun as West Ham can possibly be, as he looks very attacking, and I'm hoping that Nuno can sort them out defensively. And I've gone for Mukiele, mainly for the Gameweek 8 fixture and to keep value in my first team. The biggest omission is the DEFCON heavy hitter Senesi. I wouldn't say that I'm anti-DEFCON, however I do believe that he might be overperforming based on last season's results. And Tarkowski had the highest rate at 22 out of 38, which is around 57%. Senesi's current rate of 100% is unsustainable. Midfield, I've gone for Saka over double defence as I feel he could be my biggest sword against the current template. Not many went for him on the Gameweek 6 wildcard and they've already tripled up on Arsenal assets. There's also the small chances on penalties, however I expect Victor to keep them. Bruno Fernandes was my Gameweek 6 punt, however that couldn't have gone worse. I've put him in this team as I believe he'll still be a good option and he will hit the 200 point mark this season, so at 9 mil he'll provide value. Mitoma is a punt that I like the look of. He'll tick over with long-term good fixtures at a good price. And Reinders is one of the few to remain from the previous team. He'll continue to be good value at 5.8 mil, and he's only going to look to move on if he starts getting benched with Europe. Stack is a cheap option who has a bit of everything, a bit of goal threat, DEFCON ability, mostly in for the Gameweek 8 fixture. The omissions from the template is definitely Semenyo. I think he's a great option, however I simply can't afford him over Mitoma due to my poor team value. I'll be hiding behind the sofa Friday night. As for the strikers, Haaland goes without saying, absolute machine. Victor Gyökeres has not left the draft. I think he'll get 20 league goals this season, and he'll be a flat track bully, which is perfect for FPL. Hopefully he'll be on pens. If he is, he'll be a captain option over Haaland in Gameweek 11. And Strand Larsen is probably my biggest punt in. However, apart from the fact he's playing for Wolves, I think he's a great pick. He's nailed on pens and was worth the 60 million plus in the summer. The fixtures are nice, but I'll have my eye on Pedro for this position for Gameweek 9. João Pedro is my biggest omission from this spot, however with him being home to Liverpool in 7, I've gone against his high ownership for now. This draft is made with the intention to bench boost in Gameweek 8, however I'm going to be cautious around the international break being in between Gameweek 7 and 8. The realistic bench would be Juve, Brentford home, Mukiele, Wolves home and Stack, Burnley away. If I pick up injuries over the international break, then I'll see if my 1 free transfer can cover it. However, if I pick up a few, then I'll be moving the bench boost along to when we get 5 AFCON transfers. Best of luck everyone for Gameweek 7. And lastly, FPL Gambit, who's got a couple of top 10Ks the last few years himself and is on a very different chip strategy. Free hit is active this week and the team is as follows. Mamardashvili, Gabriel, Cash, Senesi, Dalot, Saka, Semenyo, Bruno, Watkins, Haaland and Gyökeres. So that's a 4-3-3 lineup. And he says, hi, I'm sure this is the option I'm considering at the moment, going for a 4-3-3 as the defenders seem to have more potential for points this season than ever before. Due to budget constraints, I went for Mamardashvili in goal as he's super cheap and guaranteed to play because of Alisson's injury. Chelsea have been struggling in attack recently, so perhaps the Georgian will want to show he's a viable alternative to Liverpool's main keeper. In defence, I went for Gabriel, hoping for another 13-pointer. Cash, Senesi and Dalot with Alderete as my 5th defender. I might upgrade Dalot to another Man United defender, however I can already see the Sunderland defender outscoring him. In midfield, a strong three of Saka, Bruno and Semenyo with King first on the bench. Let's hope Bruno scores a penalty this time if he gets one. In attack I went for the best three this game week, and Haaland, who's my captain, Gyökeres, who seems to be doing better in home games, and Watkins, hoping for more goals after breaking the duck last week. Overall, I had an okay team this week, but too many question marks like Wood, Nico Williams, Porro, Kudus, and bad fixtures for Sanchez and João Pedro. I'm also planning to wildcard next week to set up for the rest of the year and onwards. I hope this is good enough. I'm wishing you the best of luck for the upcoming game weeks and a nice evening ahead. Thanks for sending in and writing up, guys. Best of luck on the chips. Captaincy up next. What are the top all-time managers doing this week? It's a straightforward one, as you can imagine. 96% Haaland captain. A couple are really chasing the upside, with Bruno captain home to Sunderland, 1% Saka, 1% Gyökeres. FPL review projections do have Haaland top, but just barely actually, on 6.7, Bruno 6.6, Gyökeres 6.4, and then it's Saka, Salah and Watkins. Are any of you captaining anyone other than Haaland? Moving on to the experts template team, and if you found this video to be insightful, hit subscribe below. It's completely free and I'll be putting videos out like this every week all season for you. 39% of you aren't subscribed, so if you're in the 39%, join us. This week the team is Raya, Tarkowski, Gabriel Senesi, Semenyo, Undai, Bruno, Reinders, Gyökeres, João Pedro and Haaland, and the bench is Dubravka, Stack, Anderson and Estev. It's a very template team, isn't it? Haaland sits at 99% ownership, so just one expert doesn't own him, compared to 55% ownership overall. Reinders is on 92%, Semenyo 84%, Bruno 71%, João Pedro 69%. The players that they're not keen on compared to the overall managers are Van der Ven, Salah and Kudus with negative difference in ownerships. The team smashed it last week and it's looking solid for this week. Let's see how the players get on. Finishing up with final thoughts and tips, here's what the top all-time managers wanted to say to you. Joe Els also decided to wildcard. Wildcard active, fixture swing for Arsenal seems a good time to use a chip, as I had 0 Arsenal assets up to this point. Also, it's become quite obvious that Defcon defenders and Gabriel are the way to go, so I'm changing the way I target defenders and I'm moving to a 4 at the back formation most weeks. Alex Mason is using his straight after the deadline instead this game week, and he says, I'm holding out for one more week before a Gameweek 8 wildcard. I currently have 2 free transfers. I'm undecided on whether I use them now or roll to have 3 after my wildcard and play from a position of strength. The Gameweek 16 gift of 5 free transfers is making me feel like every week is worth going aggressive. Lots of managers using chips early, but I think there could be merit in holding off and going nuts over the hectic Christmas period with chips and transfers galore. Darren is keeping hold of Salah, does have Haaland as well, and says, a 5-figure Gameweek rank despite still having Salah, but with no other options crying out to move to, I'm happy to let it ride until the inevitable hauls begin and he's a differential. And lastly, Vikash has had enough already and says, I'm tired of this season. Thanks very much for watching, and thanks to the managers for their ongoing involvement to make these videos possible. Friday morning we're going to take a look at what the #1 all-time manager is doing with his team selection. See you soon for the next one.